Okay, so on this one, we want to look at the different types of histograms that you might be asked to make. And they are frequency histogram, or just a regular histogram, or they could say cumulative frequency histogram, or relative frequency histogram, or cumulative relative frequency histogram, or relative cumulative. These words kind of are interchangeable. Okay, so here I have a list of some data that I've collected on 7th grade girls' shoe sizes. And so the first thing I need to know is how many students total did I actually have in this survey or this distribution. So of course I would total them up, and I find out that my total is 96 girls. Because if I'm doing relative frequency is always a percent. And so that when I say relative, it's relative to the total. So if it's out of 96 girls, then I'm doing 6 out of 96, which turns into 6%. And if I do 8 out of 96, that actually turns into 8%. So I did the calculations for every single one of these rows. So I did 6 out of 96, and then I did 8 out of 96, and then I did 12 out of 96, and then I did 14 out of 96, and so forth all the way down. And they're rounded to the nearest percent. So again, I want to double check and make sure that I didn't mess this up. So if I add all these up, they should total 100%. If they don't, you will need to adjust one or two of them in order to make that happen, which is why it's easy to do on your calculator is to simply put all of the frequencies into list 1, and then at the top of list 2, right on the actual L2 name, you type list 1 divided by 96, because that was your total, and it'll actually fill in all the percentages, and then you can round them all and look at them and make sure that you're rounding correctly. And you could also go back and figure out which one or two you might need to adjust in order to make them total 100. So you might have to fudge just a little bit. Okay, then to figure out cumulative frequency, cumulative simply means that I'm taking a running total. So of course when I first start out, I only have 6, but then when I now, so that was for the size 5, but now when I add the next group, I have 8 more, so I have a total of 14. And then when I add the next group, I have 12 more, so now I have a total of 26. And then when I add the next group, now I have a total of 40, so I'm keeping a running total. And then I add the next group, so now I have a total of 60, and so forth. I add the next group, now I have a total of 82. I add the next group, now I have a total of 90. I add the next group, now I have a total of 94. And then I add the last group, I have a total of 96, which should match this total that I had over here to start with. And then finally, on the relative cumulative, so now I'm simply taking this cumulative column and I'm going to do it out of the total. Okay, so if you've noticed, I'm taking, again, the cumulative frequencies, so these, and I'm doing them relative to the total, which was 96. So here I've got 14 out of 96, which rounds to 15%. Here I have 26 out of 96, which rounds to 27%. Then I have 40 out of 96, which rounds to 42%, and so on. I will fill them in. And so if you notice, by the time I get to the bottom, I actually have 100%, which is what I should have. Okay, so now I'm ready to graph each set. I'm going to do one at a time on the graphs below.